Welcome back, everyone, to English for Specific Purposes, Level B1. Today, we are your hosts. I am Mr. Daryl.
And I'm Ms. Thათია.
We are going to talk about sociology, a very interesting topic.
Okay, a very interesting topic, right? გამარჯობათ, მე თათია ვარ, ეს კი დერილია. კეთილი იყოს თქვენი დაბრუნება ჩვენს ტელესკოლაში. როგორც გახსოვთ, ჩვენ ძალიან ბევრ საინტერესო საკითხზე ვისაუბრეთ. ვისაუბრეთ ტექნოლოგიაზე, ბიზნესზე, ტურიზმზე. დღევანდელი გაკვეთილის თემა კი სოციოლოგია. Let's get started.
Let's get started with an overview of our agenda. So we have an introduction lined up for you. Then we will look at the vocabulary that we want to focus on today and then move straight into the text, the reading text of today. After that, we're going to move on to a discussion of the grammar, and we will close up with a summary at the end, as we always do, and of course, give you some homework.
მოდით ვიდრე უშუალოდ გაკვეთილზე გადავიდოდეთ, ჩვენს გაკვეთილის გეგმას გადავხედოთ. გაკვეთილს დავიწყებთ მცირე შესწავლით, შემდეგ გაგაცნობთ ახალ სიტყვებს, შემდეგ წავიკითხავთ ძალიან საინტერესო ტექსტს, ამას მოყვება გრამატიკა, შემდეგ შევაჯამებთ გაკვეთილს და ბოლოს დავასრულებთ საშინაო დავალებით.
Okay. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, I'm also. Mr. Derill, before we learn some new words, I want to discuss a few questions with you. What are social skills generally?
You know what? These are the skills that everyone needs in order to succeed in life or work or at school and other places.
And to survive in the society generally, right?
Yes, of course. Okay, Ms. Thათია, our next question is, what social skills do you think you possess?
Oh, I have a lot of social skills, I think. I have developed these skills throughout my life, at school, at the university, in the family. So I have got negotiating skills. I have skill of working in teams and lots of social skills. And what about you, Mr. Derill?
I'd agree with that. I think negotiation is very important, and getting along with people, I think. Let's say people skills, I tend to get along with people very easily.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you moved to a different country.
Yeah.
So it is the proof that you really have social skills, so you can adapt to this new society very easily, right?
That's a very good word, adaptability, which I think I've had to do, I've been forced to do. I've been adapting to Georgian society.
Yes, very nice. Okay, I think that it's time to move to our vocabulary,
Yes.
right? And the first word we have is to negotiate. Negotiate is a verb, and in Georgian it means მოლაპარაკებების წარმოება. Mr. Derill, I think that I need your help to define the word.
Sure, definitely. So to negotiate with someone is to arrive at an agreement with them through discussion and through giving back and forth of information and opinions and ideas.
And I think that we have to negotiate in everyday life, sometimes with our family members, sometimes with our colleagues, and I think that we need to have this skill, right?
It's a great skill.
Yeah. Negotiate is a verb, and in Georgian it means მოლაპარაკებების წარმოება. Negotiate, მოლაპარაკებების წარმოება. Let's say it together.
Negotiate.
And our next word is punishment. A scary word, right? Punishment is a noun, and in Georgian it means სასჯელი. Mr. Derill, I need your help again.
Punishment is something like a penalty for doing something wrong. So if you drive too fast on the road, you get punished for it.
And at schools.
Oh yes, of course, and schools and anywhere.
Children are usually punished for their bad behavior. It used to be in the past, but not now, I think, right?
Well, I think they still feel some kind of shame for it.
So punishment is a noun, and in Georgian it means სასჯელი. Punishment, სასჯელი. Let's say it together.
Punishment.
And our next word is reward. Reward is a verb in this case, and in Georgian it means დაჯილდოება. Mr. Derill, I again need your help.
Sure. A reward is something given to someone for good behavior or good things done.
As a prize.
Yeah, as a prize sometimes.
Okay, so everybody likes getting rewards, I think, right?
Yeah, and if it's something enjoyable, like, chocolate or something delicious to eat, like a chocolate cake, that'd be great.
That would be great. So reward is a verb, and in Georgian it means დაჯილდოება. Reward, დაჯილდოება. Let's say it together.
Reward.
And our next word is cooperate. Cooperate is a verb, and in Georgian it means თანამშრომლობა. Mr. Derill, can you help me with the definition again?
Sure. To cooperate is to work together with someone to achieve some kind of purpose or some goal or plan that you have. And also to kind of help someone along, so you cooperate with them.
So I think that you cannot succeed in team if you don't cooperate with the team members.
It seems to be one of the most important skills, to cooperate with people.
Yeah, you're right. So cooperate is a verb, and in Georgian it means თანამშრომლობა. Cooperate, თანამშრომლობა. Let's say it together.
Cooperate.
And our next word is compromise. Compromise is a verb, and in Georgian it means კომპრომისი დათმობა. Mr. Derill, I think I need your help again.
Another fantastic word. This is when two people or more kind of reduce their expectations or their demands, whatever they're asking for, in order for them to reach an agreement on something.
Okay. I think that everyone should have this skill, and everyone should compromise at this or the other moment, right?
Sometimes it's important, but sometimes not. There are certain circumstances where maybe you shouldn't compromise too much.
Yes, absolutely right. So compromise is a verb, and in Georgian it means კომპრომისი დათმობა. Compromise, კომპრომისი დათმობა. Say together.
Compromise.
And the next word is deceive. Deceive is a verb, and it means მოტყუება. I don't think that it's quite nice word, is it?
Here's a skill that maybe is not so good that people have. This is when you try to trick someone into believing that something is false. Something false is true.
So does it mean that when you say false things, is it to deceive somebody?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Deceive is a verb, and in Georgian it means მოტყუება. Deceive, მოტყუება. Let's say it together. Deceive. And I think that we have come to an exercise, okay? So what do we have to do in this exercise, Mr. Derill?
We have sentences where the key word is missing, and you have got to help us put the correct word into the sentence.
ეხლა კი ლექსიკურ დავალებაზე გადავიდეთ. ეკრანზე თქვენ ხედავთ წინადადებას. მოდი ერთად შევარჩიოთ სწორი სიტყვა აღნიშნული წინადადებისთვის. And let's start. The first sentence is nations, then we have a blank space, to fight against terrorism. So what should nations do to fight against terrorism, Mr. Derill?
I think they have to cooperate together to fight this problem.
I think that you are right, but we have to check. And you are right, it's cooperate. So nations cooperate to fight against terrorism. And our next sentence is, I took away my daughter's car keys as a, then we have a blank space, for her bad behavior. We said that for bad behavior, people usually get
punishment.
And you are right, and let's check, it's punishment. You're absolutely right. And the next sentence is, the two conflicting sides agreed to, and then we have a blank space. So what do you think can fit this gap?
You know what, I think I mentioned it earlier, they've got to compromise to get along.
I think that you are right. So that's how an agreement is reached, right? Okay. Now let's move on, and the next sentence is, they have to, then we have a blank space, terms and conditions. What do you do with terms and conditions? When you have some terms and conditions, you have to talk to each other and get to an agreement. So what do you think can fit this gap?
Well, you've almost got to it. Yes, negotiate. You've got to negotiate terms and conditions.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Okay, now we can move on to the next sentence, as I can see, and the sentence is, I have to tell the truth. I cannot
deceive her.
Deceive her, of course. If you want to tell the truth, if you cannot say lies, it means that you cannot deceive others, right? Okay, and I think that the final word, final sentence and the word is absolutely obvious, but now let's still see what the sentence says. The government wants to reward him for his honest behavior. So it means that they are going to give him a prize, right?
For being honest.
Yes.
For saying the truth, which is always good.
Yes, really. Okay, I think that we have finished with our vocabulary, and it's time for the text. But before we read the text, let's just talk about some very interesting things, okay? Mr. Daniel, what different communities do you belong to? For example, your family, school, sports team, and neighborhood.
Very good point. Right now it's work, my work community, my friends that I've met, sometimes Americans, foreigners, and then a lot of Georgians as well, so different groups, and sometimes they also mix. And when I was younger, I was in I played football, so I had my football community as well.
Okay, very interesting. We all belong to some different kinds of communities.
What about yourself, Ms. Thათία?
I belong to my community of my colleagues, also my family, and I think that my neighborhood too. I have a very close community of neighbors. Excellent. And I also belong to this community. But I want to ask you, Mr. Derill, what are some common rules for these communities?
Good question. You know, when you live in a neighborhood, for example, you don't want to make too much noise, or you don't want to disturb the peace of the neighborhood too much, or they might get angry at you and kick you out of the neighborhood.
Yes, absolutely right. And I think that all communities have some kind of set rules, and more or less we have to follow those rules.
For example, you shouldn't play loud music in the middle of the night at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, absolutely right. Okay. Now, before we read the text, I think that we have to learn some words which will help us to understand the text better. ახლა კი ტექსტის წაკითხვის დროა, მაგრამ ვიდრე უშუალოდ ტექსტის წაკითხვას დავიწყებდეთ, მოდით შევისწავლოთ ახალი სიტყვები, რომლებიც ამ ტექსტის უკეთ გაგებაში დაგვეხმარება. Okay, let's get started. Let's see what we have on our list. And the first word is values. Values is a noun, and in Georgian it means ღირებულებები. Mr. Derill, I need your help again.
Such an important word. These are the principles that help you decide whether you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing. They help you decide what to do in different situations.
Yes, and we have values in our life, right? Lots of values, okay. For example, we share the values of the community we belong to. We have a great example here. So if you don't share the values of the community you belong to, I don't think that you can survive within this community, right?
That's true, although there's space for individuality as well, maybe.
Okay, I agree with you. Okay, we should never lose our individuality. Okay, values is a noun, and in Georgian it means ღირებულებები. Values. ღირებულებები. Let's say it together. Values. And our next word is fairness. Fairness is a noun, and in Georgian it means სამართლიანობა. So fairness, can it be considered as a value?
Yes, it's definitely a value, and it's kind of connected to that previous word. Here is an instance where you have to treat people with an equality, or you try to be just with them.
Okay.
Treat them with justice.
Now I got it. So fairness is a noun, and in Georgian it means სამართლიანობა. Fairness, სამართლიანობა. Let's say it together.
Fairness.
And our next word is disorder. Disorder is a noun, and in Georgian it means არეულობა, უწესრიგობა. Mr. Derill, I need your help again.
Definitely. Disorder is something that has a lack of organization. It's kind of all messed up and mixed up.
Yeah, when something is messy, right? Can we say disorder about the situation?
As messy as being a synonym? Yes, definitely.
Yeah, great, thank you. So disorder is a noun, and in Georgian it means არეულობა, უწესრიგობა. Disorder, არეულობა, უწესრიგობა. Let's say it together. Disorder. And our next word is minority. Minority is a noun, and in Georgian it means უმცირესობა. Mr. Derill, I need your help again.
Sure. This word is when you're talking about a smaller part of a larger whole. So the smaller or lesser part of something.
Is minority.
Yeah.
Okay. Minority is a noun, and in Georgian it is უმცირესობა. Minority, უმცირესობა. Let's say it together.
Minority.
And we can move on to the next word, which is respond. Respond is a verb, and in Georgian it means რეაგირება, პასუხის გაცემა. Mr. Derill, I think I need your help again.
Definitely. So when you respond to something, you are giving your reaction to something else that has been said or done. So you are responding to it.
For example, we have an example. How did she respond to the news? Does it mean that I want to know her reaction to the news?
Yes, exactly. Very, very good.
Okay. Respond is a verb, and in Georgian it means რეაგირება, პასუხის გაცემა. Respond, რეაგირება, პასუხის გაცემა. Let's say it together. Respond. And we can move to the next word, which is dictate. Dictate is a verb, and in Georgian it means კარნახი მითითება. Mr. Derill, I need your help again.
Dictate, not such a great word, but this is when you order someone to do something exactly as you want it to be done.
Yeah, okay, and we know dictators.
Yeah.
Does this word come from the verb?
It's connected to the word dictator, yeah, and of course, no one loves a dictator.
We don't, and also I also don't like to dictate anything to others. It's not a good thing.
No,
right?
it's not.
Okay, dictate is a verb, and in Georgian it means კარნახი მითითება. Dictate, კარნახი მითითება. Let's say it together.
Dictate.
And I think that we have finished with the vocabulary.
Okay, Ms. Thათია, I think it's time to move on to our reading text of today.
ეხლა კი ტექსტი წავიკითხოთ. What would life be like without rules? A recent study examined the behavior of avatars in an online world with no rules and found that a lack of rules did not result in disorder. There was very little cheating and antisocial behavior. People organized themselves into groups and traded, communicated, and moved around much like people in the real world.
However, almost every community in the real world has some form of rules and some way of enforcing them. A community is a group of people who are united by a number of factors, including geography, language, and values that dictate acceptable behavior. So, why do we have rules, and what makes people follow them?
Studies have suggested that the reason we don't like cheating and rule breaking is because fairness is programmed into our brains. A fair situation makes our brains respond in ways that lead to feelings of comfort and even happiness. But unfairness causes our brains to respond with negative feelings such as anger and pain.
Social controls are still an important factor in setting and following rules. They influence the way we behave and can be internal or external. Internal controls come from within and are based on our values and fears. External controls include rewards and punishments.
People need these communities to function smoothly. Because of this, humans most often behave in orderly, fair, and predictable ways. If there were no rules, the majority of people would probably continue to interact positively. However, there would always be a minority who would not, with serious consequences. This is why a society without any rules is unlikely to become a reality anytime soon. Now, Mr. Derill, I think that we have to check how well we remember the text.
Let's get to the reading comprehension questions.
ეკრანზე გამოჩნდება წინადადებები და ჩვენ ერთად უნდა შევეცადოთ, განვსაზღვროთ სწორია თუ არა ეს წინადადებები, ანუ შეესაბამება თუ არა ეს წინადადებები texts. Okay, let's start. So the first sentence is, recent research proved that if the world lived without rules, there would be a lot of crime. Mr. Derill, do you remember whether it's true or false?
You know, at first you would think that it is true, but the research has proven that it was the opposite. It was false.
Yeah, I agree with you. I also remember the statement. So it's false. You are right, and we can check why it is false. A recent study examined the behavior of avatars in an online world with no rules and found that lack of rules did not result in disorder. Okay, now let's look at the next statement, Mr. Derill. Can you read it for us?
Sure. Community members have the same values. What do you think, Ms. Thათია?
I think that this is true because
true?
we've talked about it.
Let's check.
Let's check. And it's true, I was right. So why is it true? Here is an answer. A community is a group of people who are united by a number of factors, including geography, language, and values that dictates acceptable behavior. Okay, I will read the next statement if it is possible. So we don't like cheating and rule breaking because we are afraid of punishment. Mr. Derill, do you remember what was said in the text?
Again, this seems to be true, but actually it's false.
Okay, let's check. Yes, you are right, it's false. And why is it false? We read in the text, studies have suggested that the reason we don't like cheating and rule breaking is because fairness is programmed in our brains.
We're good people, basically.
Yes. And the next statement. Mr. Derill, can you read the next statement for us?
Indeed. Reward and punishment are the examples of internal control.
I don't agree with you. I don't think that this was written in the text, so I think that this is false. And let's check. And I was right.
Perfect.
Okay, and here is the proof. External controls include rewards and punishments. Okay, and I think that there is one more, and please read it for us.
I'd love to. It's possible that one day the society will live without rules.
I don't think that it's likely to happen. I remember that the text said that it's not likely to happen very soon.
Let's check.
Okay, let's check. And this is false, as I remembered. Okay, and here is the proof. This is why a society without rules is unlikely to become a reality anytime soon.
Yeah.
And I think that we have finished with reading part and we have to move on to grammar. Akhlaqi grammatikაზე გადავიდეთ. Okay, let's look at these 3 sentences we have. What makes people follow rules? Social controls stop most people from breaking rules, and we expect people to follow rules. And we have some verbs highlighted here: make, stop, and expect. What do you think these words show, Mr. Derill, and what is the grammar topic for today?
These verbs show either compulsion or prohibition. So they either let you do something or kind of force you to do something or stop you from doing something.
Oh, great. So what is the topic of today's grammar, Mr. Derill?
Verbs of compulsion and prohibition.
Great. And Mr. Derill will tell us more about this grammar.
Now, verbs such as make, stop, keep, and prevent express compulsion and prohibition. We can also use encourage, discourage, and expect, which are not as strong, a bit nicer in feel. The structure of this kind of sentence starts in the following way. You take make and you add the object and then the base verb. Here's the example. We can't make others follow the rules. So we can't make who? Others, and then the verb follow the rules. Similarly, stop, keep, prevent, and discourage, you can add them onto the object, then from, and then the verb, and then an ing ending. So it's a little bit more complicated. Here's the example. Rules in general prevent life from becoming too chaotic. So as you can see, it followed that exact pattern. Moving on to the verbs encourage and expect, you add them on to the object of the sentence, and then you add to, and then the base form of the verb. Here's the example. Most people expect others to behave in ways that benefit the whole community. So followed the exact structure there.
So Mr. Derill, as far as I can understand, we have to remember the patterns, right? So we have to know what to use after the certain verbs, right?
Definitely. And whether the ing form follows or the base form.
Yes, you're right. Okay, now let's check how well we can cope with this task. Akhlaqi grammatikul სავარჯიშოზე გადავიდეთ. თქვენ ეკრანზე ხედავთ წინადადებას, მოცემული გვაქვს 2 ვარიანტი, უნდა ავარჩიოთ სწორი ვარიანტი. Let's get started and let's try. The fear of punishment can stop people to steal or from stealing. Mr. Derill, do you remember what we should use after the verb stop?
You've got to use from and then the ing form.
You're absolutely right, and here is the right answer. Yes, the fear of punishment can stop people from stealing. And our next sentence is this. Rewards encourage individuals behaving or to behave in the interest of the large group. Mr. Derill, what do you think will be the right answer here?
So after encourage, you need the object, and then you need the to plus base form.
You're absolutely right, but we have to still check. You are right. So rewards encourage individuals to behave in the interest of the large group. And our next sentence is this. Our internal controls can prevent us breaking or from breaking the law.
Ms. Tata, why don't you have a try at this? What do you think would be the answer?
I know the answer, I think, because after prevent, we said that we need to use preposition from and then verb ing. Am I right?
Yes, you're right.
Let's check. Yes, I was right. So our internal controls can prevent us from breaking the law.
Excellent.
And I think that we have finished this exercise, and
Yeah.
it's time to summarize the lesson, right?
So, Ms. Thatia, as you remember, we looked at the vocabulary that we had selected for the reading text and for the topic in general. The text itself was about living by rules, and our grammar today were verbs of compulsion and prohibition.
Yes, you're absolutely right. ეხლა კი მოდით გაკვეთილი შევაჯამოთ. გაკვეთილის დასაწყისში ჩვენ გავეცანით ახალ სიტყვებს. შემდეგ წავიკითხეთ ძალიან საინტერესო ტექსტი, თუ როგორ უნდა ვიცხოვროთ, ან შეგვიძლია თუ არა ვიცხოვროთ წესების გარეშე. შემდეგ კი ვისაუბრეთ გრამატიკაზე, ახლა კი დროა საშინაო დავალებაზე ვისაუბროთ. Okay, what's our homework for today, Mr. Derill?
Here's the question. Write about some rules which are common for the community you belong to.
A very interesting topic, I think, to write about, right? And we'll receive a lot of interesting answers to these questions, right? But where can people upload the homework, Mr. Derill?
Have a look at your screen and you will find an address that you can send your answers to, and you can also find the model answer there.
Yeah, okay, very interesting. გთხოვთ დავალება ეკრანზე მითითებულ მისამართზე გამოაგზავნოთ. Okay, we are looking forward to your homework, right?
And I think a lot of people will have different communities that they belong to. It doesn't have to be the traditional ones. It can be any kind of community, and talk about that.
Very interesting. But I think that it's time to finish our lesson, Mr. Derill. And we have to say goodbye, but there are lots of interesting topics ahead, so I recommend everyone to keep on learning and stay with us, okay?
Until next time, goodbye.
Bye.